everybody else because I'm coming in through loud and clear. Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. I'm gonna start, and I've got some people in the chat. We need your help. Am I frozen for you? Is my video frozen? Can you see me moving my arms and hands? Because I'm frozen for Alex. He can hear me, but I don't know if this is an issue on my end or StreamYard.
Ooh,
it's black.
Twice okay. God.
Thank you. Yep, you're up, says Vishal. Nope. Well, audio's good.
Audio's good.
Let me try my other camera and see if that helps. I can see Alex, but not you. Thank you, Twice God. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is very odd because it's not a speed issue. And where's Hank? Says Dort. All right, we will start the show soon, I promise, but we just need a little bit of help.
I don't know where Hank is. He's probably hanging upstairs with the guinea girls.
Did you completely stay away from the grill during the crazy heat?
Oh yeah. It would have been miserable. People had like temperature guns and were walking around Portland, and it was like 150 degrees, just like on random streets.
Wow.
From being close to buildings or something.
How about now?
Weather or you?
Me.
Yeah, I can see you now.
Okay, good. I'm using my better camera. It's got a wider end. You can see that I'm doing a little remodeling in my office.
Can I?
Little sneak peek. Oh yeah, there's stuff all over the place. So that's why this is my background. A little sneak peek for everybody. All right. I'm going to start recording, and then we're going to play the Poku video. I guess we don't have to play the Poku video now that everybody's in. It's a little DTD behind the scenes. Troubleshooting. All right. I'm going to start recording a little Hankus.
Here's Hank.
All right. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here we go. Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Wednesdays, is my good friend Alex Spears. Alex, what's up?
Good morning, Andrew. Draft season is upon us.
Good morning. It is. We're fully engaged as the God. You know, I hate that Giannis went down, and like that's a whole other story. But could the Bucks be the least inspiring Eastern Conference Finals team and potential Finals team and potential champion ever?
Yeah, and I saw Matt Moore. He was defending the Bucks to an violently defending the Bucks last night, saying that we've had teams like championship teams who have struggled in the past. As an example, that Celtics team, which went to 7 the first 2 rounds and then went to 6, but it feels different. And I'm setting aside the Giannis injury thing, like just obviously they did great in the first round, but that second round series against the Nets and now this series against the Hawks. And it's because they're just missing shots. Like that's why it looks so ugly. Somebody had an awesome stat last night, and I wish I could find it, but it was like the number of times that they have shot more than 33s in a game while shooting under 30%.
That's Keith Parrish. That's Keith Parrish. Fast break, baby.
Oh, that's who it was. Okay. Yeah. It's just like absurd because that makes sense why they look so bad. Here it is. Yeah, the Bucks now have 6 games this postseason attempting at least 33 pointers and making 25% or less of them. No team has ever done that more than 3 times in one postseason. They've done it 6.
Keith loves that stat. He saw them do it once, and he's been like, I can't believe they did that. And like they keep doing it. And I think that he gets like a kind of some sick energy from seeing them do it more because he's like so excited to tweet it.
They're perhaps the best example of the whole idea of teams are shooting more threes, and so there's going to be more variance.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have these good teams who just have bad shooting nights. I mean, Houston was like the big first example when they missed 27 threes in a row. But now it's become like so commonplace. If you were a team who shoots a lot of 3-pointers, and the Clippers were like this too in that first round series against Dallas, like you're going to have games where you just suck, where you hit like 20% of your shots and it just looks miserable. And the Bucks have been like the greatest example ever of that because they keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable how unwatchable they are from night to night.
Yeah, when they're missing their shots, it's just like, this is brutal.
Like if you were to sit somebody down that had never watched the NBA before and say, this is professional basketball, they'd be like, wow, basketball must be the hardest sport in the history of man because they make it feel so difficult just to put the ball in the hoop. They make it it's just excruciating to watch.
And now we have the potential of a game 5, a pivotal game 5.
Ooh.
Without Giannis and potentially without Trey.
Do we know Giannis is out?
No, we do not. We don't know anything about either of them.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I think Trey's going to try to come back from what people are saying. I'd be surprised if he did not play.
Yeah, that'd be less. I would be shocked if Giannis came back next game.
I would too. But come on, Bucks, get it together. You have one All-Star on your team still.
Actually, wasn't he not an All-Star this year?
Well, whatever. Like he
got passed over, Andrew.
You have 2 former All-Stars on your team still.
Oh, that's very generous to Drew. That was like 2014.
Whatever, man. He still made it. He still made it. Is anybody else on the Hawks made it? No.
No.
And they're in the East too.
Actually, they have 3 because Brook Lopez made an All-Star game.
Oh, there you go. 3. Yeah. What are we doing? Why do we make this so difficult? Why is this so painful? Gosh, it is just some of the worst playoff basketball ever. And, shouts to the Hawks for showing up and just putting it to them. Like that made me really glad with how poorly the Bucks played. It made me glad that the Hawks were just like, no, we're not going to let you just waltz in here and take this game. Like this is going to be a war. And I'm really glad to see that. I was glad to see them step up. It was great to see Trey on the sidelines in his hoodie and just enjoying his night there. Good on the Hawks, man. Do not let the Bucks do this is kind of how I feel. I mean, that's my stance right now is don't let the Bucks get away with this.
I mean, they keep getting away with it.
I know.
I mean, what it feels like is going to happen is that the Bucks will win. They'll go to the finals and lose. And because they made it to the finals, they'll be like, well, we got to keep Bud. And then next year they're going to come back. More teams are going to be healthy again. And then they're just going to get like demolished in the second round or something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's insanity, man. It's absolute insanity.
The Hawks have a legit shot now. Legit. Especially, obviously, if Trey comes back. Like, I think they'd be the favorite if you knew that Trey was playing these next couple games.
I know. And if he's at full strength. Has anyone gotten a bone bruise at something that looked like nothing like that before? Like it just, I was surprised it was a bone bruise. I was surprised that he was hurt at all. Like it just didn't look like a whole lot. Maybe I missed it, but to me, it was kind of a weird one.
These playoffs, Giannis's injury was like, it was like my breaking point.
Yeah.
For these playoffs, it was like, what even am I watching at this point?
I know.
And it's not even about, for me, like adding an asterisk or whatever. Like whoever wins this is going to deserve it in the sense that they survived the longest, literally survived, didn't get injured, and made it this far. They still had to beat who was in front of them. It's just about like my enjoyment as a fan. Like every star that falls, I'm moving further and further away from like enjoying the product that I'm watching.
Yeah.
And it's not to hate on any of the guys who are playing. They're obviously all playing playoff basketball. They're trying as hard as they can. But man, watch if we have to watch a game 5 without Giannis or Trey. Oh my gosh! In the Eastern Conference Finals,
at least we had. I was like holding on to the hope that we'd at least have like a relatively healthy Bucks and relatively healthy Suns teams.
Yeah.
I mean, I I was like, okay, if that's what we get, that's okay. Like those are two very good teams that you would select. You wouldn't say it's crazy that they go to the finals, but if we don't get a healthy Giannis, it's just a disaster. And if freaking Reggie Jackson and Paul George make it to the finals and they get to play the Giannisless Bucks, I will put the most giant asterisk on this whole thing.
There's a chance we're headed that way because the Clippers are. You got to give them credit.
They don't stop. I will make T-shirts that just has an asterisk over the NBA symbol.
Oh, that would be if I have to like take Reggie Jackson really seriously. Like I've already gone so far with him, and now I'm having to be like, could he win Finals MVP? That would be like the next conversation. That's the next bridge to cross with Reggie Jackson.
You had the Slam and Jam trivia question for Saturday about who had
made the most threes.
Yeah, who had made the second most threes. Yeah. And my goodness, it's Reggie Jackson.
He might end up being the all-time leader by the time this is over, if they make it to the finals.
Oh man, huge credit to him. He's going to make some serious cash this summer. Yes.
Yes, but like, if it's any team other than the Clippers, like if any team is giving him that giant contract, wanting to do SPG starting point guard again, I'd be that doesn't seem like a good idea, right?
No. What about the Knicks? You think the Knicks could talk themselves into it?
Oh man, yeah, totally.
You think they'd be like, yeah, we'll give you 4 years or 3 years, $45 million or something?
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Which is not like that's not insane. If it was like 3 years, 80, or 4 years, 80, or something like that.
Well, how about this? Who do you think will get more money, Reggie Jackson or Dennis Schroeder, who just came out and said that he wanted $100 to $120 million this summer?
The only way that happens is if the NBA extends everything back to like 10-year contracts. Dennis,
is there a chance that Reggie Jackson gets a bigger contract than Dennis Schroeder this summer?
There is absolutely a chance. He's been very good, and he's been so good from three that if it's projectable, if you look at it and say, yes, Reggie Jackson is going to be this kind of three-point shooter, like a 42% three-point shooter who can shoot off the dribble, off the catch, plays well with others, is fiery, he's got so crazy long arms. That's why the Thunder wanted him, that he had this type of upside. Then it should be Reggie Jackson. It absolutely should be, because and this could be a major outlier year, and this is like just like regret on a platter for whoever takes him. But I don't know, man. I think it should be Reggie, just the way that he's played, and Dennis, like with the attitude stuff, with everything. I mean, I think Dennis is still the better player overall, but man, what a postseason for Thunder backup point guards, right?
Yeah, and I should say, going to the 3-point record, there's no chance. I totally forgot about Steph Curry, who hit 98, and Klay Thompson, who hit 98 in a playoff run.
That's a lot.
Reggie's got a while to get there. He's at 56. You know, he could have a 10 3-pointer game.
98.
98. He's like 40 away.
Oh, Reggie Jackson hit 23s by himself.
Yeah.
In game 6. Oh boy, this is wild. And we're gonna get some weird outlier champion this year, is what it feels like. Unless it's the Suns or Bucks, and then you could say like, okay, like legitimately good teams. But if it's the Clippers without Kawhi, or if somehow the Hawks pull this off, like I might have to like make a Hawks pod myself, like a local Atlanta-based Hawks pod, just like apologizing for a year straight, like a daily apology pod.
Well, I mean, one of the fascinating things that's going to happen is, and Reggie Jackson is part of this, is who's going to overreact to what we're seeing right now. Like
Yeah.
who's going to benefit from it? Who's going to like screw up their future because of it? Because all these teams that are in this Final Four, I mean, obviously they feel amazing. They feel awesome. But it's like, how real is this? And when it comes to these decisions about running it back, I still think the Suns do everything they can to re-sign CP3.
Mm-hmm.
I still think the Clippers will do everything they can to re-sign Kawhi, who's not even a part of this run. But you just wonder what is going to end up being the big overreaction, because there's going to be something. I mean, we overreact to something in every playoffs.
Yeah.
So what's it going to be this year?
I think there could be multiple overreactions.
When is a campaign up for a contract? Is that this summer? I'm gonna go look at his contract real quick.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh yes, he just has 1.9 this year. Nothing after it.
Wow. Okay, who gets paid more? Campaign, Reggie Jackson, or Dennis Schroeder? Like, rank them.
Oh,
Former Thunder backup point guards, all of them.
I mean, at this point, with Reggie shooting, I mean, if you're the Lakers, wouldn't you rather have Reggie shooting over Dennis Schroeder?
You would think.
I think it might be Reggie Jackson, and then Schroeder, and then Campaign, because Campaign, even in this great run, he's been a backup point guard, and I still think you see some of the flaws when he's given more things to do. So I don't think a team would necessarily sign him to be their starting point guard.
Mm-hmm.
But he could make, I don't know, like, couldn't he get like $8 million a year?
Maybe.
That doesn't seem crazy.
No, I don't. That's not crazy. That's certainly not crazy to me.
Or like a mid-level or something for a team that really needs a guard.
Yeah, totally possible. Is my video still gone?
You come back. You're there now. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what's going on.
Could the Bulls bring him back?
Ooh.
Who said that they knew after the second practice he couldn't play in the NBA? What if they reverse that decision?
Yeah, no, like the tail between their legs, come back.
Yeah.
Good on the Thunder for saying, like, we still believe in Cameron Payne after they traded him. We still believe one day Cameron Payne can be a good player. Oh, jeez. All right, let's go to the stream, and then we're going to talk draft. We're talking draft until 10 o'clock. We have Hoops Talk 69, broadcasting from the moon. We have Buster Nakamoto, who is in Mobtown, Alabama. We have Twice God telling me I have no camera. We have Vishal George. We have Anaruda, who's in India. Thanks for joining. We have Tyler Field saying, what's up? We have Falcon Denmark. Let's see. Dort wants to know, where's Hank? I wish it was Lou Dort, who's just like the biggest Hank fan ever. That would be the best. Let's see. Ben _ is with us. We have Crimson King here. We have Thales in Brazil. Thanks for joining. Lawrence Field. Miguel Davella. We have Sam Haney in Phoenix. I think Suns fans are feeling the pressure right now, Al.
Suns fans?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would be terrified right now.
Crimson King. Trey Brown is in Brooklyn. What's up? We have Jake Arendt. And he said more like Milwaukee sucks. Chad Scott. Thanks everybody for joining. The Fluky in Germany. Dylan Cudd says, first live pod from my new house. Hey, congrats. Caleb McRae says, hello from draft hell. Sorry, man. Daniel Tomasi says from the UK says, Wasan boys. Joel Angel, Tyler Carroll. Hope everybody's doing great. And we'll be right back after this quick break. And we're back from that quick break. Alex, the draft we're a month away from
it's still long.
NBA draft. The month countdown begins. But there's going to be so much scuttle around this particular draft, I feel like. And there's so many different outcomes because I think Cade is probably going number one. And then after that, I don't think that we really have any clue.
Yeah. So I told you I wasn't going to start diving into the draft until I knew our pick because I didn't want to get my hopes up.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the last week, I've obviously started. And first big takeaways. One, I really wish we had a top 4 pick because, and it's less to do about ceiling because I think even with Jonathan Kuminga, someone who I've been lukewarm on, I understand the ceiling argument, but it comes down to the floor. Like those top 4 guys, I just feel like their floors are so much higher than anyone beyond them in combination with a high ceiling.
Yeah.
And you would just feel so much more relaxed if you knew you were getting one of those top 4 guys, which, by the way, we know that that's probably going to be wrong. Like one of those top 4 guys isn't going to pan out at least. But that's the way it feels right now, watching all of their highlights. The other thing, my other big takeaway is that I don't know if this is just because this is the first draft in a while that the Thunder have had like real draft capital. I mean, because even going back to the Sabonis draft, that was probably the last time we had a pick this high. That we didn't know about it until, very late in the game. So we weren't really thinking about it that way. So I don't know if it's just because we had these picks, but this draft feels so deep. Mm-hmm. And nothing like exemplifies that more than Jonathan Givony's most recent mock. Like you look at those top 18 names, and I would even go beyond that. Mm-hmm. Like there's guys throughout there that I'm like, I wouldn't be mad. I can see the argument for so many of these guys in like, let's say the top like 20-ish.
Yeah, I was going to say like you get to like in his top 20, like Sharif Cooper at 19. Wouldn't be mad about Sharif Cooper being on the Thunder. And Jared Butler. Cool. Great. Bring him on.
Yeah. And even beyond that, like Zaire Williams at 24, Cam Thomas at 25, Trey Mann, who I know some people like at 23. I don't think he'd be a good fit for the Thunder, but there's just names throughout here. And really it's the names from like 7 through 18. Like the fact that, and I do not think this is going to happen, but the fact that you could even come up with a mock where Moses Moody drops to 18 is completely absurd to me. And that would, I mean, he was a guy over this past week where I was like legitimately watching film thinking, would I be willing to take him at 6? And the idea that there is a scenario where he could drop to 18. Same thing with Sengun, another guy I was like paying super close attention to.
But the Shengun.
Shengun. Yeah. But then you look at this mock and it's like, well, yeah, I could see like somebody falling in love with Kai Jones or like, I do think Josh Giddey is going to go up where he's going, or Franz Wagner or Jalen Johnson. Like this mock isn't insane. It's not like he has some crazy names between those picks.
Yeah.
So whoever falls to 16 and 18, if they do end up keeping those picks, I think we're going to be pretty pumped.
I would be pumped if this was the draft, because this is what Jonathan Givony has on here. If you're not subscribed to ESPN Plus, and also if you don't read Reddit, like this is here's what they ended up with. Jonathan Kuminga at 6, Şengün at 16, and Moses Moody at 18. I'd be like, all right, home run, great, everybody go home. Like we've done it, because you have your like crazy high upside swing with Kuminga and Şengün. Really, I mean. And I hope that they would just not sign any other centers and they just play him full time, and you just allow just a way to get to the basket on every possession for the Thunder or for the opposing team. And you just like that allows you to really, if you play he and Kuminga, you're not good at all next year. And like all you and you play he and
Kuminga.
Yeah. Şengün, Kuminga, and Poku. Like you play those 3 all season, like 30 minutes a night, which is what I would almost demand from the Thunder. Like that allows you, one, to just develop those guys all season. You get to kind of figure out what you have, and you are probably the 6th, like you have the 6th best odds probably going into the draft next year,
I mean, Şengün is one of those guys. I was looking at him, like, is he someone I would consider at 6? But like once you get to 16, it's like, oh, absolutely, I would.
Oh,
Like,
it's no question. I would not consider him at 6. I think I said this on the Thunder After Dark episode. I would throw up in my mouth if they took him at 6 a little bit because
just because of the defensive concerns.
it's just like the everything concerns that I have with him.
The everything concerns. Oh no,
I'm concerned that like he is, and the thing about it, like you can compare him to Cantor, and I did a little bit, but like he's so much faster, so much more athletic. He can do so much more than Cantor ever could. But like his best skill is still a back to the basket score.
for sure. Right now, it definitely is. Though with his how much he gets to the free throw line and his free throw percentage, and you just watch his form in some of these clips, like you feel pretty good that he's going to develop a shot.
I do. I think it's translatable. However, does it always translate? No. And he could end up being, and he could transform himself into something very different, which I think is very possible because he'll be one of the youngest guys in the draft. He can transform himself into like a mid-range or 3-point, like pick and pop. He can definitely be pick and roll guy. He can definitely score on the block and mismatches, all that, which is great. But I'm concerned that perhaps he is just a matchup based big, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And those 3 guys, Kuminga, Şengün, and Moody, 3 of the youngest in the draft. I mean, Moody's the oldest, and he just turned 19.
Just turned 19. May. Gosh, I love Moses Moody so much. And
I do too. And
I don't understand him at 18. I don't understand him at 18.
No. In fact, if I can make my second prediction, because I've made other predictions, I think the 2 guys beyond Barnes and Kuminga who will be gone by pick 8, so that's Orlando, are going to be Bouknight and Moody. Because I think both of those players make sense for both Golden State and Orlando. I mean, Golden State, how could they not take Moody? Like, you can slot him in right now.
That's what
with
I
Steph
think.
and Clay. All the things that people say they're worried about with Moody, he's not even going to have to do. He's literally just going to be a really good wing defender and make open threes in his first year. That's all they would need him to do.
Yeah, you worry about his athleticism a little bit. And if I'm the Davion Mitchell stuff, I would certainly consider him with Golden State.
See, I don't get that at all. Like, why?
He's more ready made to play in the league next year. He is, outside of Jalen Suggs, he's like the most competitive guy in the draft. He will be able to defend lots of guys in the league because of how strong he is. He can make shots, and I also think that if the players have any say, which I think they will, and they kind of indicated this, if Steph and Draymond and Clay have any say as to who it's going to be, I think they're going to take Davion Mitchell. I really do.
I really think that would be a mistake, because you're basically betting that his year from 3 last year is real, even though his free throw percentage didn't improve at all. He shot 64% from the line last year.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't shoot, what is he?
I know. I totally get that argument.
And so why not go with Moses Moody, who, by the way, had a higher free throw attempt rate than almost anyone that we're talking about at the top, like higher than Cade Cunningham, higher than Jalen Green. People talk about him as like he's just a 3-and-D. He got to the line more than all those guys. He got to the line more than Scotty Barnes, more than Kuminga, and he shot over 80% from the line. Like, how do you not take that guy?
One of the most efficient players in the mid-range in college basketball.
We should take him.
I love him. Bad. I absolutely love him. I would trade 16 and 18 to trade to 12 or 9 to get him.
Yeah, if he fell to 9, I would absolutely do that.
Yeah, I would do it. I don't know. To me, he's the guy that's falling in these mocks that it's
because he reminds me, not necessarily like the same player, but just in terms of the impact, like getting someone like Mikal Bridges on a team, like filling that role on a championship team. I can see his role on a championship team so much more clearly than all of these other guys beyond 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I'm having trouble grasping what people don't like about him.
I mean, they say that, there's athleticism questions, or he does not finish well. I mean, you look at some of his drives, um, he has terrible drives where he just like seems out of control, and it doesn't really seem like he's
Yeah.
not a smooth player. On the other hand, he's willing to do it, and he got to the line a ton, so he's pretty good at drawing fouls.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know,
just
especially with the measurables that came out. I mean, biggest positive wingspan in the draft.
yeah.
I don't see how Golden State can pass him up at 7. And that's why I think Bouknight and Moody are going to go 7, 8 in some order.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, we've already seen with Moody at Montverde that when he transferred there, he took a giant step back to play for that team. His senior season, he averaged the least amount of points for his high school career, so he could play for that team.
Yeah.
So like, and I don't think there's a lot of guys that are going to go this high in the draft that would have said, sure, I'll score 11 instead of 18 points per game so that we can have this undefeated season. And it's really cool that he played with Scotty Barnes, and I don't know, man. I think it's very interesting. I'd be more excited if it were Scotty at 6. He also played Cade Cunningham was on that team too, which is a ridiculous high school team. I'd probably be a little bit more excited if it were Barnes, Moody, and Şengün at this point, just because of the floor concerns, like you said. You'd feel a little bit more secure. But the ceiling with Kuminga is different than with Barnes, just because of the scoring stuff.
It is, and I'm gradually coming around on Kuminga. I actually watched a really funny YouTube video last night. This guy with like the thickest Southern accent, only talking about Kuminga's background, like how he grew up in the Congo, and it was like this very like it's a really cool story. He basically left his family at age 13 to come to America by himself to start developing as an NBA prospect.
Yeah.
But the guy's voice just like really cracks me up. So that started to turn me, because I'm like, this guy has like an amazing story, and I'm starting to listen to Sportsfan 405 on Twitter a little bit more, who's reminding me of the context of the G League bubble, which I do think is true.
Dude, I hate that Ignite program. Like, after watching so much of them, I just absolutely despise it.
Well, and that's why, like, when people bring up what Brian Shaw said, it's like, dude, this guy wants this program to be a success.
He has to.
He benefits if Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga get taken super high in this draft.
Yes.
In the same way that like any college coach benefits if their guys get taken early. I mean, it's a benefit when Calipari gets to be on the draft telecast every single year.
Weird.
Like, that's the biggest recruiting tool ever. That guys see like, oh wow, he turns guys into NBA stars,
Yeah. Yeah. I hate that program. And like, we knew Brian Shaw wasn't a great coach at the NBA level. Like, it's just a weird hire to me.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go find a G League coach that's like done really well and say, hey, we're basically promoting you to the G League Ignite team, and all you care about is development, all you care about is coaching. Like, I don't believe that's. I think they just wanted an NBA player name there with Brian Shaw. But
yeah.
I mean, if you could, and obviously they couldn't get Mark Daigneault, but if you get somebody like Mark, who just like wakes up thinking about development every single day, like, that's who you need for that program. And I know they had a limited amount of time before the G League bubble started to play together and all that, but still, you get through like half of their games and you're like, oh my gosh, they don't run anything. They don't require anybody to get down in a defensive stance. They don't get down in a defensive stance. It is basically an all-star game, every game with them. It's who can show out, who's going to give me the highlight block or the highlight step back 3 or the highlight dunk. I mean, that's what it was. And you could see Jalen Green like getting better, but you could also see like, this is not a good environment for Jonathan Kuminga. Like, well, this is not helping him.
As a result of that, what else can you really look at beyond his shooting? And if he's not shooting the ball well in those games, like you're not seeing a ton else because of all those things you just said. And so watching him just like clank jumper after jumper, although I will say so many of his jumpers hit the back of the rim, which I guess is a good thing because it's consistent in some way.
Sure.
Like,
well, I don't know. I just think that after like missing like 5 defensive rotations in a row, like we saw what happened when Thunder players did that, right? Like Degnault would like get after them, or whenever they were just doing anything wrong, like Mark would get after him, and they respected him, and they respected that about him. You just never really saw that. Like those guys could pretty much do whatever they wanted.
yeah.
And it drove me crazy. And that's also why like I have hope about Kuminga, especially on the Thunder, where not only do they prioritize development, but they demand like excellence from you on a daily basis. Like they demanded excellence from Poku all season because the one they knew that he had it in him, and I think that Kuminga has that in him as well. And I think that would be a really good thing for him. I think Barnes already kind of demands that from himself a little bit. And the question will always be, can he develop like a consistent jumper or any jumper at all? Any sort of, anything outside the paint. Can he develop that? And I think they will give that their best shot. But I still just think that if Kuminga, and there's a chance that Kuminga doesn't have it in him, that he's not going to be a great pro. Like that is certainly, and that may be the most likely outcome with Jonathan Kuminga, actually. But there's probably very few destinations that I would feel comfortable with him going and be like, okay, yes, he'll make it. Like Toronto, like I would be like, okay, yeah, I think he'll make it there. Oklahoma City, yeah, I think he'll make it there. If he somehow got to the Spurs, who have done a really good job developing all these kind of lower level lottery wings, like yeah, heck yeah, like I think he'll do great there, but if it's the Kings or if it's the Magic, I'm just like, oh boy, like we may be in for Jonathan Kuminga bust stories.
And that's why, as dumb as it sounds, like learning more about his background actually made me feel so much more positive about him, because it's not like he's one of these prospects who comes from overseas who like didn't pick up a basketball till he was 16 or something and just has like all this raw talent.
He's not Kai Jones. Yeah.
He's not Kai Jones. He's been playing basketball since he was really young and would go out of his way. Like he in some interview, like he had to travel 45 minutes just to be able to find a gym, and then was walking home from that. And then to come over at age 13, and at some point he was the number 1 prospect in this class, in this high school class. Like to get to that point, you have to have so much drive and motivation to become that. And so that's the part where I'm starting to buy in on, like, regardless of what I saw in the G League bubble, I think I might just believe in him as a person.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'm more willing to take that risk, because it is a home run swing. I mean, of all of those, and the thing about a home run swing, it can't be someone with a high floor. Like a home run swing is someone like Poku. Like that's a true home run swing where he could be out of the league in 5 years.
Yeah.
But there's so much ceiling there, just all this untapped potential that you just kind of have to do it.
If you connect, it's going to be a home run, is the kind of thing. Like what Poku can do as a 7-footer who's skinny and shifty and can shoot and can pass, can dribble, all that stuff. Yeah. Let's go through a few scenarios, Alex, about trading back, because I do think that it's not that it doesn't make sense for them to trade back from 6. I think the dream is that you trade up, right? You find a deal with Cleveland. McKelly and I brought up a bunch of ways they could do that. I think the number one way that makes the most sense from a Cleveland perspective is you just say, we'll take Kevin Love into cap space. And that to me is like that would be like almost the trump card for everything, even with Orlando. Like, because Orlando can't do that. You just say, hey, we'll trade you 6, and you want 2 future firsts? Great. Do you want the 2 firsts that are in this draft? Great. Take them, and we'll just take Kevin Love to cap space. And Orlando's like, yeah, we can give you these other 2 picks, but we can't take Kevin Love. To me, that's like a big one. But let's say we get here and the Thunder don't like, and let's say Kuminga's there, and they don't like him. They think that he is like the bust of the draft, and they would prefer James Bouknight, or whoever it is. Which he's a very intriguing prospect. McKelly and I are going to cover him soon on Thunder After Dark, so stay tuned for that. But maybe he's their guy. They think he's going to be like the scorer next to Shea that we've wanted, and all of that. Perhaps he's all of that for them, and they know that they can get him at 7 or 8 or 9, right? Let's just talk about those 3 teams, right? So let's talk Golden State first. Let's say Golden State wants Kuminga and the Thunder want to trade back. What would you ask in return from Golden State in order to get that pick?
This is where it's so hard, because it's like if we didn't have 16 and 18, I'd say, I just trade it for 7 and 14. Like they get to move up.
What if you did 6 and 18 for 7 and 14?
I mean, in this scenario where they get to 6 and they know that they don't want to take that player, then yes, I would do it.
Yeah. Because then you have a chance, like if Bouknight's their guy, like you get Bouknight, and then you have a better chance to get a Moses Moody. And then you keep 16 and you can take whoever drops there if they've been rumored to like Isaiah Jackson or Sengun or whoever it is that falls there.
Right. Orlando, like I don't know. Yeah. I don't see that because I'm so confused by what's available for Orlando at 5-6 anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like I already am wary of the fit with either Scotty Barnes or Kuminga.
And I hate the fit with both of them. Do you want both?
Right. So like they're already going to have to make a decision on one. Yeah. Maybe they say like, I don't know which one's going to work out. Let's just take both.
This is the Suns Marquise Chris Dragon Bender situation.
Yeah. Let's just have the worst shooting team of all time. Put all these guys on the court with each other. Jonathan Isaac. They'll be very long. Very rangy.
Chuma. Yeah.
So that one I don't see. Sacramento, if there's a guy they want, the problem with Sacramento is they have to be in win now mode. Like usually I think it's really dumb to be in win now mode. And to be honest, like this is kind of the Atlanta Hawks conversation. Mm-hmm. But when you've missed the playoffs for 15 straight years, I will admit at some point it's like, all right, we got to do something at this point.
Oh gosh. Would you trade Dort for 9?
No, I wouldn't.
All right, good. That was a test. That was a test of your loyalty. That was not a real question. That was a test.
Montreal Mamba, Andrew? No way. So even with Sacramento, like they would have to be so confident that whatever guy they're going to get can immediately come in and play.
Yeah.
And I feel like that guy will probably be there at 9 because like I think Davion Mitchell will fall if that's the guy they want. I think Moses Moody, there's a potential he'd be there. I think he'd fit really well on that team.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't see them moving up. So it's honestly hard finding a team just that you think would want to move up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so hard. We're just operating with like such little information, when it comes to all these teams. To me, Sacramento's more of a trade out candidate than a trade up candidate.
Oh, it's wild how much their fans want to do 9 for 16 and 18. And if whatever guy ends up being the Thunder's target is there at 9, like I would do that in a second if I knew that I could lock that in and get that guy, because it feels so fluid between 7 and 18.
Yeah.
You just don't know where guys are going to fall. I guess we'll learn over this next month who different teams like. One of these guys we're going to hear like some red flags going to come out and he starts falling or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I get it. I understand where they're coming from, because the draft does seem pretty flat until about 20. Usman Garuba could be the best player in this whole range. Like he absolutely could. And is he 17 doesn't seem like a stretch for him to be there. Sharif Cooper out of Auburn could be his scoring could translate so well that you're like, how in the world does Sharif Cooper drop to 19? I get it, because then you get to swing on 2 prospects there, And at 9, are you convinced? Are you fully convinced that you're getting somebody that is better than at 16? Like I'm not and perhaps it's Josh Giddey. Maybe Josh Giddey is the target. And then you just give it all up for him. I would there. But like Jalen Johnson, like Franz Wagner, Corey Kispert, Kai Jones. I'm like, I don't know. That's like my general sentiment with all of those guys. I think that Kispert's more of a sure thing than Jalen Johnson or Kai Jones, but still, you just feel like I have no clue who's going to be the best. And so if you have guys available to you, like a Kai Jones, like a Şengün, like Garuba, like Moody or Cooper, like any of those guys are available to you, like it may be more worthwhile to swing there. Unless like Keon Johnson is going 9 right now to the Kings in this mock on ESPN. You couldn't find somebody that doesn't like him more than me.
And also that fit with the Kings. Like, I mean, he's a little undersized and they already have obviously Buddy Hield, Fox, and Halliburton.
Yeah.
He's probably good enough defensively to play in some like 3-guard lineups. But that would not be my pick if I were the Kings.
Oh, I would. I think I'm doing a draft grades pod after the draft, and I would
would that get you an F?
I'll give it a D.
Ooh,
maybe D plus, just because of the upside.
Well, we were texting like Keon needs to go to the Hornets. He just needs to play with LaMelo. Just let him run. He would look so good. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
He would die. I think he might die with that combination of players. Just the alley-oops, like the fast breaks, just the anticipation. If you get out and it's if you have LaMelo and you see that Keon leak out, just the anticipation that will be inside Eric Collins during that moment.
It'll be awesome.
It'll be almost too, like, it'll just be so glorious. To me, that's destiny. Please just let him last to 11 and let him. That's like one of my only like real draft requests outside of the Thunder is let Keon get to 11 so that we can just see LaMelo oops to him and Miles Bridges. Like if Miles and Keon are both running the floor with LaMelo leading the break, it would be pandemonium. It would be
It'll be like during the Thunder games when they have those group of dunkers come out with the trampoline and they're just going like one after the other, passing it to each other. It would just be that every play.
Oh, it would be so great. It just has to happen. It just has to happen. Yeah. Anywhere else, if he went to the Kings or to the Magic, I'd just be like, gross.
Yeah. See ya.
Sorry, Keon. It was a good try. Shoot.
But yeah, so I think trading down, the Golden State one is the one that maybe makes sense if they really like someone at 6 and you can leverage that because you prefer someone else. But outside of that, it's just hard to see where a fit would be. Now, there are some teams who don't have a first-round pick. Mm-hmm. It would take a lot of non-draft capital to do a trade for 6. Mm-hmm. So that's why those seem kind of unrealistic. So yeah, I think staying put or trading up are the most likely at this point.
Yeah. I think the Golden State one is interesting. If Golden State's like, we need to get Kuminga or Barnes, and the Thunder are like, you can have either one. It's not unreasonable to think that the Thunder would like somebody else at that spot. Yeah. And would just want to pick up an additional asset. So I mean, to me, you have to be aware that everything is on the table with OKC and that they look at everything and know that they would even consider that. Like they traded back to get Bays, and that was their guy. And to me, it's not unreasonable for them to be having those kind of conversations because Bouknight could be their guy. Like if Giddey gets enough traction, he could be their guy at 6. In which case, you're like, maybe we can trade back and pick up something else from Orlando. So I think it's something to consider. as we move, we're a month away from the draft, as we kind of inch closer to it, I think it's something to certainly consider as we get there. Although it's way more exciting to think about draft day and the Thunder, like Woj getting on the TV and saying, like we have a trade. The Thunder have traded up to 3. I think, and then like the crowd I anticipate us having would just go nuts. So by the way, I'm hoping that by Friday or at least the beginning of next week, I will have everything in place for a draft party for Down to Dunk. And we were going to have a bigger venue. If you made it out to the Mule, or if you ended up at Frenzy across the street, we appreciate you guys coming. We will have another one, and we'll have a bigger venue so we can all be in the same room. So be on the lookout for the details on that. I will probably make some kind of flyer and tweet it out and put it everywhere. So it's going to be one way or another. I believe the Thunder will make a trade that night. I would be surprised if they walked away with all 6 rookies that night. So I think that there will be trades. I think that there will be action. And one way or another, I think Sam Presti will end up with his guy. And then also, like, we have the possibility of Sam, and I talked about this on Monday. I just think that if you don't, like, they didn't get the pick they wanted, and so now you use your draft capital to try to get the pick that you want, or try to get the player that you want. I mean, that's, to me, the whole reason, the whole purpose of having the most draft capital in the history of the league is to get what you want. And to me, now is the time to get what you want. Like, don't wait. Don't just sit on them. We've seen, and we've talked about, like, Danny Ainge just sat on his picks, and a lot of them did not end up being as good as we thought. And to me, like, don't sit on all of them. Let's get what you want now so that you can develop this team alongside Shea. That would be what I would want.
And that's where I'm having trouble with the depth of this draft, because, again, going back to Gavoni's mock, like, if a scenario somewhat equivalent to this is available to you,
yeah,
I almost wouldn't hate the idea of just taking those 3 guys or equivalent guys, and developing them, because it does feel like the talent is there in this draft.
Yeah, it is. And perhaps you could trade 6 and 2 future firsts and take on Kevin Love and get 3, and you can take Evan Mobley, or you can take Jalen Suggs. That's then if you ended up with Suggs and the 2 guys we talked about at 16 and 18, they're like, you're feeling really good after draft night. So
it'd be incredible.
There's a lot of options here. Yeah.
Can I read some of the scuttlebutt?
Oh yeah, give me some scuttle. Give me some quick scuttle.
So this is from
I gotta hop to a meeting here in a second.
Jonathan Wasserman at Bleacher Report. Most scouts have Gonzaga's Jalen Suggs behind Cunningham, Green, and Mobley. One told me he had Suggs in a separate lower tier, even behind Jonathan Kuminga. It'll be interesting to see what the Toronto Raptors do at number 4, given Kyle Lowry's free agency. Kuminga's perceived upside and the likability factor with Scotty Barnes, who some also believe could crack the top 5. Just interesting.
And as like the resident Jalen Suggs guy here, I'm floored. I'm absolutely floored by that. I don't get it. To me, he's one of the guys I would say will not fail in this draft. Like, I absolutely love Jalen Suggs.
And then this one will make you feel good. Tennessee's Keon Johnson had everyone talking about his max vert, but it's starting to sound like 8 is the highest he goes. One scout talked about how Johnson has all this athleticism and energy, but doesn't quite know how to optimize it.
Yeah, so it's 8 is insanity to me. Like, if he goes in the lottery, 11 or 14.
That's why the Ringer needs to update their mock. They have Keon at 6, and they have Book Night at 21. Which, if you've been seeing any of the Book Night stuff, like, there's no way
It's the most whack one out there right now. Like, it's insanity. 6 for Keon Johnson. I said I would throw up. It was Şengün. I might not cover the Thunder anymore if they took him at 6.
Wow.
Like, I would be so angry if that happened. It would be Terrence Ferguson level booze in the draft house if that happened.
Baylor's Davion Mitchell isn't who everyone thinks he is, said a scout who believes the 6'1 guard's defensive upside is overhyped. The scout still expects Mitchell to go in the lottery, but it's worth noting that not everyone has bought in. Another scout I spoke to has Mitchell in the late lottery range. That's what I feel is going to happen. I just do not buy this Golden State at 7. And then let's see if there's any other guys that are relevant to us. I mean, a scout agreed on a taller Ricky Rubio as a solid comparison for Josh Giddey. Yeah. He also believed to go in the lottery with too strong of a field passing IQ for his shortcomings as a scorer. So, these nothing that spicy, but these are our first little pieces of scuttlebutt.
Yeah, get ready. It's going to be, to me, this upcoming draft, free agency, trade season, I think could be one of the crazier ones that we've had in a while. Just because, one, this draft is like very impactful, and I think there's a lot of moving pieces within it. So I think it's going to be very, very exciting. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to go to theathletic.com/down-to-dunk to get The Athletic for $3.99 a month. You can read Sam Vecini's mock draft there. You can check out all of the great stuff. There's going to be some cool stuff dropping soon on The Athletic. So you're not going to want to miss out. You guys have a great Wednesday. We'll talk to you guys again on Friday.